I'm Aiman. Welcome back to another video in my series of converting our patio to a 3-season sunroom. In our last video, which we did actually yesterday, we installed this sliding glass door. And we've been waiting for the sliding glass door for a while, maybe 1 or 2 months. But in that video I mentioned that we've actually been waiting for our windows way longer than that, maybe 3 months. And finally, they've come in. And you can see that we have all the extra windows here and over there. And in this video today, I'm going to show you how I install those windows into the side of our sunroom. And over here we have 3 windows already installed. These 2 my dad installed to show me and Azami how to install the windows, and this one I installed just now in preparation for this video. And as you can see, I did a pretty decent job. And today we're going to finish up this job with these 3 windows. And then after that, when we get our final window, we're going to show you how to install that one. Or, actually, we'll see. But so far, installing a window is pretty simple. All you have to do is caulk the surrounding of the window, install the window, put the put shimmies on the window to space it out, and then put nails on the window frames. And then after that, you want to seal it up with tape. So let's get right to it. All right, so next step is to caulk it. So here we have the caulk. Okay, we're good. So you want to make sure that when you apply the caulk, you do it as close to the edge as possible, and also make sure that there's no breaks in the caulk. So kind of like this, as close to the edge as possible. And make sure it's a continuous line and that there's no breaks in it. My dad actually doesn't like doing the caulk because he's like, well, if we're gonna put flashing tape on it, what's the point of the caulk? Because the flashing tape's already gonna seal it. But I guess a lot of people do the caulk, so we're going to do it as well. And if you have a reason for why you put the caulk, put it down in the comments down below. Start a discussion. But all you need to do is put this on the tops and the sides. The bottom is unnecessary because actually you only need to do the bottom because water doesn't go through the bottom. And the purpose of the caulk is to seal the window from the water, if the flashing tape doesn't do it. So next step is we're going to put the window on. See, like I said, this is a pretty easy job. Let me cut through this. I gotta be really careful with this knife. This is really sharp. I gotta make sure it doesn't scratch the window. This right here is a vinyl window. It is very light. You could probably install this by yourself, and I am going to do exactly that. So when you take a look at this window, you want to make sure that you install it the right way. In our case, the way that it's facing out is the one that flares out. You'll see that this side of the frame flares out, and that is so that the siding can go underneath, you know, that little, this part. And what we need to do is just lift this out of this package, make sure it's facing the right way, and put it on. The way I like to do it is let me just make sure there's no breaks in it. I think we're good. I like to do the bottom first. Make sure it's on there, and then push it in. In our case, we already know that this is going to fit in. What we did was we first got those 2 windows in order to make sure that these windows actually fit, and then we got the rest of them, and that's why they took so long to get here. So now my mom's gonna hold this. Thank you, Ma. And the next step is to space these out with shims. Alright, so there are 2 purposes to the shims. We want to make sure that we space these out. We want to make sure that there's a gap in between each side of the frame to allow for expansion. The second purpose is to make sure that this window is also balanced with respect to all the other windows. Like in case you want to have like a windowsill that goes across the entire thing, you want to make sure that it's flat, you know, that it goes over all of them equally. And what we're going to do first is we're just going to put a shims on the bottom of both of these, on both sides of this frame. So let me just lift this up. I'm gonna lift this up, okay, Matt? I'm gonna stick this onto the bottom. Same here. After that, you want to take a leveler, just like this one. A smaller one is better so that you can actually put it onto the window. And you want to see how level it is. I mean, in this case, it's probably not best to do it on this windowsill, maybe on here actually. there's not really a good place to do this because of all the parts blocking it. And it looks like we need to raise it on this side. All right, so I take that back. I think this is the best place to put it. It looks fairly level. Maybe if we just raise this a little bit, it'll be level. Actually, right now it looks pretty good. If you look at it, maybe you don't even have to put anything. But, you know, just for prosperity, maybe I'll just put a tiny little shim there. Right here, like, this is really thin. Ma. Oh, okay. And now let's put the level back on it and see. There we go. Dead center. So now what we want to do is we want to nail the frame to make sure it stays like that. We don't have to put these shims in here forever. These are just to ensure that it stays this way while we nail it in. Okay. So we have these cabinet screws here. 1 1/4 or 1 1/2. It doesn't really matter. And we have this Torx bit that we're going to use to drill them in. The way I like to do this is I like to start from the top. I like to do the outsides and I like to do the middle and then the outside. And then I like to fill in all the holes in between. And you'll see what I do. You'll see what I'm talking about when I actually do it. So let me just take a few more of these. I need to get a step stool and avoid my dear mom here. And see, this is very interesting because this frame had 5 holes on the top. This one has 6 holes on the top. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to do the top left and the top right one. I'm going to do the middle one of these two. And then after that, I'm going to fill it in with the other screws. All right, so top right. Okay, now the other corner. I'm just going to do one. Best to be careful as possible when you're working with multiple people. There we go. No need to rush. There we go. Okay, and that's the last one on the side. Now, if you take a look at the rest of the frame, you'll see that these sides are a bit flared out. They're bending out, and there are multiple ways to solve this. One of them is to heat up this corner and then try to bend it back. You know, it's vinyl; it's really easy to bend if it's hot. But as you can see out of the top here, our way of solving it, because we don't have time for heating it up, we're probably just going to nail it in. And I'm gonna call that a waste of nails, but it's okay. My dad actually says that if you want to cut corners, which, you know, I don't recommend, but if you do want to do that, then you can just put nails every other, or screws every other hole. So instead of having it the entire row, just do one here, one here, one here. I wouldn't recommend it, but I mean, if you want to do that, it's up to you. And why would you take building advice from I'm just kidding. Yeah, this is gonna be really hard to nail in. And there we go. And we broke a bit of the window doing that, but that's all right. We want to make sure we do it on the other side. Also, some people put screws at the bottom, which is not really necessary. The point of these screws is to help hold the frame up, and I guess the bottom doesn't really do as much of a job as the sides and the top do. So, and some people actually put shims on the inside of the bottom, and the reason why is so that water from the inside can leak through to the bottom, which is not necessary, because if we already have caulk on the outside, which we do, water's not going to leak in from the inside. Let me clarify. The reason that people leave a gap at the bottom, and some people even put shims, is so that they can leave a gap for the water that collects on the inside of the window, like right here, to escape through these cracks and leak through the bottom. Now, water that pools on the inside of the room, we're going to prevent that from having to leak outside by putting caulk in between the frame and the wall. And that prevents any water that collects here from leaking out. And with that water, we can just collect it with a paper towel to clean it. But the reason that people leave a gap is so that water that gets into here can escape. Alright, the next step is to put tapes on the sides of the window frames. We're only going to do the sides because after we do the sides, we're going to do the top, and then we're going to bring that flat down and then put tie-dye tape on the top of that flat. We don't have to do the bottom because, like I said, we're going to let water leak through it.